Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. Alright guys, what video I'm gonna start with this one.
I've been talking about this, and I'm just going to be real. The announcement that Xbox is canceling Contraband is one of the least surprising announcements. I'm going to be completely honest. I kind of thought they already did. So when I saw this news, I thought it was an old story initially, but then it's like, oh no, it's real. Because they revealed this game 4 years ago. Okay, 4 years ago. And does anybody know anything about it? It's from Avalanche. Not the Avalanche making Harry Potter. That's a different Avalanche Studios in Utah. But they showed off like a quick sizzle reel of some really basic like outlines of location of the private storage, Sun River's job, fireproof safe, and then like some access points. Okay. So it's like a heist game, it seems.
Oh my god,
but they showcased all of this, and then it had this big reveal of the name of it. Pans up to the chest. Ooh, Contraband.
Oh my god.
What? Crazy. And they've shut it down. It's gone. It's dead. It's gone. And this was initially put out by Jason Schreier. He reported on it on Blue Sky. But basically how it was described officially was as a co-op smuggler's paradise set in the fictional world. I was about to say the fictional world of the 1970s. A fictional world within the 1970s. The announcement trailer used Steely Dan's Do It Again, which debuted in the early 70s, which is why I didn't play the audio. Otherwise, this would get struck There continues to be open positions posted on the company's website for the game, but it's possible they be removed in due time. The same could be true for the official Contraband pages on Xbox and Avalanche's website, which are still live as of right now. And of course, this seems to be like an additional thing happening after the initial wave of layoffs. So this wasn't necessarily just meeting the deadline, meeting the like threshold for 9,000 employees total across the company. It seems like this was a separate thing that was done in addition to everything else they wanted to do. And it's unfortunate. This is from the same team that did Just Cause, and I love the Just Cause games. They are popcorn,
Not play Just Cause either.
pop and blockbuster games. Like, they're stupid and silly, but they could be pretty fun. But yeah, they've shut it down. The initial reporting was that it was put on hold, but later they came out and were like, yep, it's over. It's over. I didn't know this one. Apparently, so yeah, the 2020 Xbox Showcase Fable, State of Decay 3, not out. Everwild canceled. Avowed, reboot, downscaled, flopped. I don't think it flopped technically. My understanding is that they were pretty happy with the results, but it was rebooted from from a multiplayer game and downscaled. Perfect Dark canceled. Hellblade 2 flop. I do think that is fair to say. That game, I think, was a disappointment across the board. It's coming out on PlayStation soon, though. That is interesting. Halo, yeah, that whole thing has been a mess. Forza Motorsport flop. 50% of the studio is gone. Contraband canceled. Yeah, a lot of their stuff that they showed was canceled. I didn't realize, though, also, apparently this was one that SBI also was very, very proud to announce that they were working on. If that is true, that's funny. But yeah, they were working on this for ages. This was posted July 3rd. This is funny. All this talk about Contraband being canceled. Again, this is before it was canceled. But based on their LinkedIn page about 5 days ago, there was a job listing for senior producer live operations. So they were still hiring people very, very recently. My guess as to what happened, it sounds like this game was basically Fair Game $, but in the 1970s. And honestly, like heist-based sort of semi-extraction shooters, they're just really high risk, potentially high reward. They're really expensive to make. And I think they probably were just like, why risk it, dude? Like, why risk all of this? Especially if
It's
they're
too
doing
late,
reviews
no?
of the game and they're not like
Crazy.
super
They
happy
decide
with the
not
state
right
of
now
it.
to do it.
The official post from Jason Schreier himself said Xbox is canceling Contraband, announced in 2021 from Avalanche, Just Cause Studio. After 4 years of radio silence, sources tell Bloomberg News, this news arrives after weeks of mass layoffs in which Xbox canceled several other big titles. OD, the collaboration between Xbox and Hideo Kojima, still in development, a Microsoft spokesperson tells me. For now, yeah. I think it's likely it stays in development because I think that's a big enough and like very visible enough IP, or not IP, but project that I think they'd want to lock that down. But Contraband, like there's one person that was talking about it before it was canceled, okay? Like, let's not pretend as though this was like some hotly anticipated game. I think we had all forgotten it existed until it was announced that it was canceled. Maybe that's mean of me, but I'm just being real with you. I don't think anybody remembered that this thing existed. At that point, like, you've been working on it for 4 or 5 years. If you're like, hey, if we re-announce it and put it out there and it's just another game to sacrifice at the altar of live service, like, is it really worth doing? I don't think it's... I understand some cancellations are heartbreaking, but let's be real. This one was kind of expected. I think a lot of us thought that it had already happened. And just wasn't made public yet. And, they don't tend to cancel really good games. They tend to cancel stuff they don't think they can make any money with. And that is just the reality of the situation. Like, if they look at something and they think that they can make 10 million, 50 million, $100 million on it, they'll put it out there just to try and make it. People often think, well, it's just to write it off on their taxes. I think there's a misunderstanding on how write-offs work. Write-offs it's not a one-to-one, okay? If you write off $100 on your taxes, it doesn't mean that now you saved $100. It means that the cost of what you're writing off is discounted at your tax rate or the company's tax rate. So if I buy like $100 thing, but I write it off on the business. I still paid for it. I just was able to write off like my tax rate's worth of that purchase. So it effectively was discounted at my tax rate. So I paid like $70 for it or $65 for it or whatever it would be. It's not like a one-to-one. A company would much rather have a game that made 50 million than that they have to write off $200 million on it. If they're writing it off and shutting it down, it's because they don't think it's going to make any money. Okay. Like,
Simple.
there are some exceptions. There's a strategy you can do in finance called tax loss harvesting. Funnily enough, I just had a talk with one of the people I work with on investments and stuff, and we were talking about setting up part of my portfolio as a tax loss harvesting portfolio. It's something you can do to basically farm losses in order to offset gains made elsewhere. It's something like if a stock is very cyclically going down and then back up, like it drops before dividends are released, and then it goes back up as normal, and it's a very regular thing. You can kind of do something where you buy it right before it dips, you sell so it looks like you lost a ton, and then you repurchase it at the bottom. So you get the profit as it goes back up, but for this tax year, you can use that loss to offset income made elsewhere or capital gains made elsewhere. It's a really advanced thing. You still end up paying all the taxes anyways, but like there's some strategies you can do with that in the corporate finance world.
To be honest, I have no idea.
But I think, again, like the most likely explanation for this is that it just wasn't looking very good and they decided to cancel it. I think that that's most likely what happened. Like, I think that they really just looked at it like nobody cares about this game, and it's another live service sort of semi-extraction heist-based game, and we all know how Payday 3 went. Like, it's just, this isn't the next big thing, and so let's pull money from this, let's put it elsewhere and move on. And I don't think they're wrong for doing that. You know, a lot of these games that release and are just disastrous live service titles, we always joke, like, how on earth do these things get to release? Like, how do they get to release? How did no one stop this along the way and say, hey, this is not, we shouldn't be doing this? But this is them taking the steps to try and prevent another disastrous live service launch that loses tons of money and is a massive flop. They're just shutting it down early. And so, you know, it seems like they're learning, they're correcting the course and trying to redirect money elsewhere. And fundamentally, like, if you're going to spend $100 million on a game that has a 2% chance of profitability, it just doesn't make sense. Even if you've already spent 70 million on it, you can cut it off now, count your losses, just deal with it. Don't spend the extra 30 and just move on. And I think that's what they're doing at this point, is they're just like, the odds of it doing well are so hilariously minuscule. It's just not worth the risk, especially when we can put this money into another remake or remaster or PS5 port or something that's going to make a lot of money. You know, ultimately it is a business. Like, yeah, video games can be artistic and pieces of art, and I think they are. That's why I love it. But I think the business itself is about making money. And if you have something like this that had all of a 1% chance of success, I just don't think it's going to do well. A co-op, open world, camera pans, co-op, open world. Okay. Contraband. Okay. Well, so it's gone now. It's too bad. 4 years of development time down the toilet. It's being shut down, and they're moving on from it. Absolutely crazy. Look at some of these comments, though. Had to refresh my memory on what was just canceled 4 years ago. This song better be in the game when I'm driving. IGN calls trailer teasers and teasers trailers. Open world heist game sounds very interesting. Okay. Never thought I'd hear Steely Dan in a video game trailer. Here it goes. Here before it gets canceled a month ago. Dude was a genius. They had me with Steely Dan. Wow, this seems interesting. I can't wait for its completion and not cancellation. A day ago. Rockstar should reinvent LA Noir modern detective game with much more complex scenes. Not really that relevant, but okay. So my guess is it's an open world heist treasure hunting artifacts game set in the 70s. Probably. I don't know, man. And it's gone. Yeah. So just, another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. I told you guys after the last round of layoffs, I was like, oh, like they're not done with cancellations and restructurings. This is just like a normal day. This is just what they're doing. So buckle up. There's going to be more. And even after this, mark my words, there will be more. There will be layoffs, restructurings, canceled projects that they're working on. It's just going to keep happening. So buckle up. Buckle up.
Sad.
He took my thing. Red flag.
Out before March.
All right, everybody, it's time once again to talk about Marathon, that game that exists. The Sony CFO recently did a series of discussions on all sorts of different topics as part of the Q&A session after their financial result reporting thing. And as part of that financial result reporting thing, they talked a lot about a bunch of their different projects and investments. They talked about live service pursuits, whether they're going to like refocus efforts and do things differently. They talked about all sorts of stuff. But one of the most interesting things was they talked about Marathon specifically. And for this, I feel we need our stuffy. Yeah, you're getting thigh angle today. You're welcome. The shorts right up. Happens to the best of us. They sent me this stuffy after we went to the studio and showcase. And honestly, it is pretty cute. I think it's the best thing to come out of Marathon so far. So he's going to join us for this discussion as we go through this. Sorry, this might be uncomfortable for you. But having said that, okay, you guys are saying thick. How dare you? Sony's CFO says Marathon is expected to release before March, and Bungie's independence is, quote unquote, getting lighter. That's probably the nicest way you could possibly say that. What they have officially said, what Bungie said, was after they delayed it from September, they said we will be talking again in the fall, and in the fall we will communicate what the release date is, final launch plans, all of that. It is technically possible that this could still launch in 2025. They could try to shove it out in December or in November. It's not outside the realm of possibility. This fall could mean September, October, or November, really. I think December, you're getting into what most people would consider the winter.
Happening here?
Even though the winter doesn't technically start until January, which is upsetting to me. But regardless, that I think is possible. I think most likely, though, they delay it and it becomes like a January launch.
What is this?
There's plenty of games that launch in January. There's games that launch in February. I think February is a safer time to launch your game, frankly. It's just, there's a little bit more going on. People are home from vacations. If they're going to do like a New Year's trip or something, they might not be home to play your new live service game. So I think February is safer, and that would still fit within this timeline. But the other key point is, of course, saying that independence is getting lighter, and that makes perfect sense given what's going on. Sony CFO Lin Tao responded by saying to the question specifically about Marathon and what they would do in the worst case scenario if it was to be canceled outright. They said, first, about Marathon, how we factored it in the forecast, we expect the launch to happen within the fiscal year, which again puts it before the end of March. But having said that, this is not a commitment. No official announcement has been given yet. Some people have interpreted this as meaning it's not a commitment to launching in this fiscal year. Other people interpreted that as it's not a commitment for the game launching, period. Which wouldn't, that's not good. How I would interpret it, I mean, I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what the nuance of the original statement was like. But as of right now, like it's like I said back in whenever that would have been June, July, whenever that was. Yeah, June. It must have been June. I think that had they launched the game in September, which I believe is the original launch date, I don't see a world in which that game at that point would have been ready and I think it would have flopped catastrophically. I was like, there is a 0% chance in my mind of the game being successful if they launch it at the original time. And this was before all of the like art theft stuff happened. It just wasn't ready as a video game. It wasn't ready. There weren't enough modes. There weren't enough maps. There weren't enough, like all sorts of stuff was not ready. But I was like, there is a very slim chance of it recovering and finding an audience if they delay it a good while and get a lot of these things established before launch. It doesn't sound to me like there is enough time to do all of those things, because bear in mind, the game as of right now has 6 character classes or heroes, or they call them runners.
6 is kind of enough.
It will have 3 maps at launch. They're all quite small. Each one has like 4 to 6 teams on it. And they will have a 4th map that is an end game map that will come after launch. This is what they said when the game was supposed to come out in September. And releasing that 4th map, that would be something locked behind like end game content. So you have to have a specific value of total like equipment equipped on your character in order to even get in there. So there's basically a buy-in, and there's really high value like armor and weapons and stuff and loot in there in that mode, but it's extremely difficult. It's very, very tough and high intensity. But that wasn't expected to come out until after the game had launched. And ranked mode, they were saying that's going to be really innovative. That's one of the things that's going to be most exciting about this, but it wasn't built yet. They had ideas for it, but they hadn't even built, even as far as I understood it, a prototype system for ranked. And the game was supposed to come out in a matter of like 6 months from when
It's weird that there's no. It's so hard to make a rank system. It just a number. Win loss. No, win much. You get a point. You get some points. You lose some points. You know? I don't know why it's so hard to have a ranking system.
we were seeing it. It just was not ready. It just was not ready. So if they delayed it enough where they can have the full ranked mode, they can have all 4 maps, maybe another runner additionally, you know, if they do a couple open betas and stuff, that could help it potentially. But again, like it's just, there's not that much content compared to other games out there like Exoborn or Arc Raiders, or you know, Tarkov, which is kind of like the omnipresent extraction shooter that you have to be aware of. It's just, they're going up against a couple behemoths, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But she goes on. She says, we are now doing modifications in development, and based on the progress in the autumn timeframe, we believe we can communicate when we can launch Marathon, either from Bungie or PlayStation. I think what is meant by this is that not that it's going to launch from Bungie or PlayStation, meaning they don't know who officially is going to be like putting it out, like it's a Bungie game. I think what they mean is we can communicate, we being Bungie or PlayStation. I think there's a pretty sizable likelihood that they pull Bungie's rights to market their own games away from them and they start handling it in-house. So we will start to see instead of Bungie handling their own like creator preview event and, you know, organizing that whole thing, PlayStation does it all. Because PlayStation's like, yeah, that didn't go well. That didn't end well. So we're going to handle it now. You sit down, we're going to market the game. With regards to Bungie themselves, Tao reiterated Sony's decision to take more control over the studio's management, with the eventual aim being to completely integrate it into PlayStation Studios. Quote, about the governance of Bungie. At the time of the acquisition, we were offering a very independent environment, so that was one way of thinking. However, thereafter, we have gone through structural reform, as we announced last year. So this independence is getting lighter.
Yep.
Again, that's a very nice way of saying that. And Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios, and integration is proceeding. In the long term, if you can see this as an ongoing process, the direction for Bungie is to become part of PlayStation Studios. Now they're saying the goal is not to leave them independent. The goal is for them to become a PlayStation Studio. They're probably going to try to get rid of the C-suite executives within Bungie. They will be fully integrated and lose that independence. What that practically means in terms of like day-to-day operations and everything,
Nothing.
I think that it is largely going to be a good thing. There's been plenty of allegations of toxicity, of there's even been allegations of things like harassment, of all sorts of stuff. So I think that this will probably be a good thing, and I don't think there will be any love lost when the executives get booted out, especially because there's been all sorts of stories. Do you guys remember? I wonder if I can find it. I don't remember the guy's name. Do you remember the Bungie executive, Yahoo Finance? Yeah, here. Bungie CEO seemingly spent over $2.3 million on classic cars after the Sony acquisition. And this was revealed specifically after they had to lay off hundreds of staff. So he's been an executive at Bungie for over 2 decades, okay? Faced lots of public criticism over the last year for Bungie's struggles. Bear in mind, this article is from July of 2024. And the leadership decisions that led to 100 staff being laid off last October. A tweet from the CEO thanking those cut for their contribution to the company was accused of being tone deaf at the time. And now, as you can see, that statement comes just 2 months after Parsons was seemingly the winning $91,500 bid for a baby blue 1961 Chevrolet Corvette. Chevrolet Corvette on the vintage car auction site Bring a Trailer. Bungie lays off 17% of its workforce. Unrelated, here is a list of the cars the CEO has purchased on BAT. And this was tweeted by Valorant.
CEO can't spend money on his own.
And you can see
people complaining.
This guy, Parsons, these are all the cars that he has purchased. December 21st, 2023. He bought this one November 22nd, 2023. He bought this one October 8th of 2023. This one cost him $80,000. This one was cheap. This one he only spent $5,600. This one he spent $40,000. He bought the removable hardtop for this Corvette for $5,000. He bought a 1958 Volkswagen Beetle sunroof sedan for $47,000.
Why people collect
this old
cars? I don't understand that.
Ford Country
Squire
money. Woody wagon for $46,500.
Can't even use them.
He bought this thing for $42,000. He bought this one in May of 2023 for $201,000. Like, it's a little ridiculous. It's a little insane. Okay, just when you think like you've seen it all, it's a little insane. Now, as I've said before, like when we talked about Neil Druckmann's watches, because he's like casually wearing $70,000 watches. I'm a firm believer. If you work your ass off, you start a company, you blow it up into something really successful, and you make millions, and you want to spend it on watches or collector cars or whatever, that's your right, and you should be able to do that. It's your money. Go for it. But that does not mean that you are immune from us teasing you and noticing and also pointing out how tone deaf it is for you to be like, yeah, we're really sorry we had to let you guys go. And then you go and spend $2.3 million on collector cars. Like, it just...
Maybe it's right.
It writes itself. The story writes itself, you know? So I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed to buy these cars. Go for it. Go for it. Just know that people are going to say you're out of touch and you're like, I don't even know what the term would be. Corporate troglodyte, for doing this while you're laying off hundreds of people. But this is ultimately, I think, the problem within Bungie is that the executives have largely checked out. They're buying their car collections. This is where the real passion lies. And they're spending their millions they got after the acquisition on this stuff. That's where the effort is going. And then you see after this was revealed, he stopped buying through this.
We need more taxes for the riches.
Story broke.
It's simple as that.
Every 6 months, a new car. And now
let them spend money in taxes.
New account, and he's buying through there. So I wouldn't be shocked. So anyway, he's got the right to do it, but we get to make fun of him for it, certainly. So Sony went on though Tao said she currently doesn't expect this to happen, saying, quote, "We are now fixing the problem, so we believe the launch will happen," specifically as to whether they're going to cancel Marathon. "If this launch is canceled, we need to do the revision of the valuation. However, as of now, this is not expected." It's a possibility, but as of right now, it's not expected. Marathon was originally, of course, planned to launch in September, but Bungie announced in June it had delayed the game, claiming it needs more time to refine and test it. I'm glad they were given the time. I really thought that Sony was going to force them to put it out. So they decided to delay it, and now it's sitting in limbo. We don't know when it's dropping. We don't know what it'll look like when it drops. We just don't know.
Marathon. How long has been working on Marathon production timing? Wait, Marathon game bunch. It doesn't say. Okay, 4 years. We have 300 developers. Okay, 4 years. Come on, 4 years. But then you could have released by now. It's not even a massive high detail graphics, and it's Bungie. Bungie already have the mechanics for gun shooting.
But I think it's likely they try to shove it out in like February.
Jesus.
But again, like, what are the odds that they can make enough changes by February to make it pop off? Because again, like, is it even a concept that people were in love with? They did have hundreds of thousands of people in their Discord wanting to play the playtest. That's true. Because they have a lot of Destiny players that want to play it. But extraction shooters are just different. And I think that's the thing that is just not appreciated truly. And maybe I'm just totally wrong here. And it's very possible because unlike other YouTubers, I can often, and I not even can, I often am wrong. But maybe I'm just totally off base here. But I do not see extraction shooters as having the same mass market appeal as like your typical MMO style game or as like a battle royale. And I've told you guys 1,000 times how when I was at Bungie, they were talking about...
You know what would be good, in my opinion? An extraction shooter with just NPC. Or which is better than MMO. I don't know. It's the competitive side that ruined that game. Because once you drop in match and a random guy with a better equipment just steal all your stuff, it sucks. It sucks so much. Feels like you're being robbed. It is you being robbed by somebody that maybe has spent more money on the game or more time, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's something that would not happen, or at least not as frequently, if it was a game based on with NPC, because those are dumber, easy to predict. There's some sort of rewarding.
How like all the big streamers they were talking to, and they were talking about how the devs and designers, they all thought that extraction shooters were the future. Extraction shooters were going to be the next big thing. And I just do not see that. I don't see it. All the people that I've played like battle royales with, they're not the types to play these super hardcore intense extraction shooters. It's just different. Battle royales, you pop in, you play a couple rounds, you move on. Same with like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch or one of those hero-based shooters. It's fine. Like you play a few rounds, and if you lose, you just go to bed, and it's not that big of a deal. You can have a match in a game like Marathon or Tarkov or Exoborn, or what is the other one that Post Malone was in? I can never remember the name. Hunt Showdown. Yeah, like Hunt Showdown. You can have a match in those games where you literally, like, your day is ruined.
Yeah.
Because you had an awesome gun, you're feeling really good,
yeah.
You go into the match, and somebody snipes you from across the map, and you just had no idea what was going on. It wasn't even necessarily your fault. It was just somebody played really, really well, and you lost all your stuff. And that stuff may have taken you days of
Or
playing to accumulate. And for
or
some hardcore
both.
players, they get motivated by that. I want to rage quit and scream.
I rage quit
You know,
immediately.
and that's the difference, I think, for the casual gamer that's like just after a long day, they just want to play something to relax.
And I'm also the type of player that's is too afraid to lose stuff. He wouldn't play with those valuable stuff. Let's say I find a good weapon on the next drop. I will not use that weapon. I will store it in my stash and never use it because I'm afraid to lose it. And most of the time, it's a good decision. But if I drop inside the game with no equipment, I get blasted straight away because for some reason maybe my MMR is getting high, but my equipment is still at the basic. This means that the game will not match me with people with the same equipment, will match me with people with the same MMR, and this create a horrible scenario.
And to escape to, I think extraction shooters do not achieve that. They achieve it for a certain subset of hardcore gamers that like the intense struggle that comes with extraction shooters. But I think for the casual gamer, which is who they're targeting, I don't think that I don't think that audience exists.
If they want to have something for the casual, they need to find a solution that is less dramatic, less heavy, less hardcore. What can it be? Like, what can it be? A solution that less dramatic? You can create a gacha system that when you die and somebody's stealing from you, you have a x chance that you're not gonna lose it. That would be something. Or you can add a perk in the equipment that says you can't lose this, but you do less damage with it, or stuff like that, to balance gameplay wise. There's another thing that can be improved. What else? What else they can do? Maybe make it easier to find it, but then you lose the thrill of finding a good weapon. Or you can't steal from player. You can only steal from NPC. This mean that you more like you want to do more PvE than PvP. That's something that I will do. For example, like you kill player to deny the possibility of doing PvE, rather than killing player for the sole reason of stealing them equipment, which is good. Actually, this is a good idea, no? Imagine there is a map where there is like a stash of stuff, equipment or money, and you want to get there, but you want to kill people before you get there, so you have less chance to get sniped while you're doing the fight with the actual PvE with the mobs. That's a good idea as well. Is there any game like that?
And maybe I am wrong, because a lot of people at that event thought it. A lot of the shooter players thought it, like streamers thought it. A lot of the devs thought it, that extractions were the next big wave in multiplayer gaming. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe it is, but I just do not see it. Yeah. And I think if it were going to be, that we would have seen success, bigger success with some of these other more experimental ones that have launched, but we haven't really seen it yet. Bungie's whole pitch with Marathon was that they were going to be the first to do it on the console side in a really big, high budget way. But I just, for one, don't really see the interest being that high, and I also don't see the game being that definitive console version of an extraction shooter. I just don't think it's ready. I think if anything, games like Arc Raiders or Exoborn or something will be closer to that, or Hunt Showdown. So I just think as a concept, it never really clicked with me and never made a ton of sense. I had fun playing Marathon for the bit I did. But like I said back when the playtest was ending, after 10 to 15 hours of playing Marathon, because I played whatever it was, 7 hours or something at the preview event, I played that, and then I came home and they gave us access to the playtest, and I played the playtest. And after a total of about 15 hours of gameplay, I felt like I had seen
everything,
pretty much everything, and I was good. And I stopped playing the playtest, even though I had like an extra day or two to keep going, or I could have played even more. I was good. I didn't need to play more. I had seen everything they had to offer, and I had a few rounds that went bad, and it pissed me off, and I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go play something that doesn't make me so angry. And maybe I'm just not the target audience, sure. But, I'm certainly a player they had captured, but I fell off after 15 hours. And the thing with live service games, as we've said 1,000 times, live service games, if you buy it and play it for a weekend, that is still considered a failure.
They're still considered a failure if you play for a month. They need to keep you on the loop until the next expansion releases. Which, in general, that's why game have an expansion or a change of patch every 3 to 6 weeks. So every month or 2 months, because they need to keep you playing, keep you engaged, keep you committed, so you can decide to spend money on it, on skin and stuff like that. Yep.
Because the whole point of these games is that they get you in and you stay for weeks, months, years. And so if you play it for 15 hours and then you move on, that for them doesn't work. That doesn't work. So
tough.
We'll see. But I mean, I think you compare, I see Melissa comparing Battlefield to it. You just look at the discourse around a Battlefield. That's the discourse you need around a new live service game for it to be successful. You're hard pressed to find anybody that's like positive about Marathon. It really is radioactive right now. And I think even just as a matter of pragmatism, even if Marathon as a video game isolated is really, really good, I think just as a matter of changing the narrative from a marketing perspective, I don't think it's doable. Like I genuinely do not know how you could turn around the narrative with Marathon at this point. And I feel bad for them.
You just need to do a good game. It's easy. It's need a good game.
The in-game AI and stuff. It's literally not their fault. It's like some artist that worked there 5 years ago that stole a bunch of artwork that painted the whole game, and the whole thing is like so toxic now. I don't think the blame lands on a very few shoulders, but the whole thing is just, it might be too far gone. But we'll see. I appreciate the Stuffy. I appreciate that he's cute. The Silkworm Stuffy, he's cute. But I just don't know how you dig yourself out of this hole. I don't. He's a chill guy. Yeah, he's cool. But they're going to try. As part of these discussions, of course, Sony said that they admitted their live service games shift and push wasn't going smoothly.
Thank you, Sony. Thank you for understanding the problem.
Fair.
Go back.
Maybe an understatement.
Go back on what you used to do.
Transformation, the move towards more live service offerings is, quote, not entirely going smoothly, but from a longer term perspective, if you look at the changes over 5 years, you see that there's definitely been change. Yeah, that's the problem. But this is the thing, like, You have to understand that Sony's, if you listen to all of the discourse from executives, it's not just the CFO. The senior vice president, Sadahiko Hayakawa, is now openly saying that they're transitioning their entire business model. So the PlayStation of the PS4 era is literally not a thing anymore, okay? What he said was, quote, in the gaming business, we are moving away from a hardware-centric business model more to a platform business that expands the community and increases engagement. The idea of that is, and corporate translation
Please.
of that, is that they want to take their currently captured audience and find more ways to monetize them, more ways to increase play hours. Because again, you might be wondering why all these companies care about like total hours played. When Microsoft talks about a game, they say, oh, Starfield had the most hours played of a first week launch title on Xbox ever. They care about that because the math very clearly shows the more hours you put into a platform, the more money you will spend on that platform. That's like the whole thing. It's just, that's how they do it.
Interesting.
And so they're very transparent that they're making this shift across the board. They furthermore, let me open up these quotes. It's also important to remember that that Sony is not just PlayStation. Sony has a massive camera business. Sony has a massive TV business. They actually, one of their biggest chunks of revenue in Japan comes from life insurance. They have a huge insurance business, which you might not have known, but yeah.
I don't know. Cool.
It's funny that that's how they're doing it, but yeah, that they make a lot of money there. He says overall, Sony are making a shift to creation as a company, as the three segments of games, music, and pictures make up 60% of their total revenue. So, you know, they want to stop relying so much on hardware, whether that's PlayStation 5 console sales, controller sales, stuff like that, or more broadly, television sales, camera sales, lenses sales, which, by the way, they make fantastic cameras. The camera you're watching this video on is a Sony. This is a Sony as well. The Sony Alpha FX3, FX30, whatever.
Expensive shit.
They make fantastic cameras and stuff, but making hardware is expensive. It's intensive with R&D. If you can have your own like platform, like a Steam or a PlayStation store, they make way more money. Their margins are way higher. It's fantastic. Make way more money there. For example, shifting from output devices like TVs and to creation devices like digital cameras, also things like music streaming, music catalogs, Crunchyroll, teaming up with Bandai Namco to create new entertainment and IP. In the gaming business, the shift towards a platform business is increasing. He says they're transitioning to an entertainment creation to expand and to improve the stability of the company and the profitability. This is also just more generally, if you are reliant on hardware, you have one bad hardware launch, your company is screwed for years. We saw that with Nintendo and the Wii U. I mean, they were in a funk for years after that. And it was rough. It was rough. And it was partially because the hardware they were selling was the platform. And so when the hardware didn't sell, the platform collapsed. And, you know, that's a whole other thing for a whole other day. For further context, the question that was asked from the media was that Sony are aggressively investing in IP content creation, such as investing in Bandai Namco. How do they evaluate those investment results so far? And is there a specific investment that caused them to revise their forecast upwards? The answer talked about the overall strategy for Sony shifting focus to creation, and with the games business shift more focus to the platform business. Note, this doesn't mean Sony will stop making console hardware anytime soon, but they are saying they will increase focus and investment on the platform business model going forward. This is the big thing with this. This is also funny. Sean Layden replied to it with a GIF. Samir asked what I thought of it. It is funny, Kratos doing the face palm. But I think this is probably why Sean is not there anymore. You know, Sean left after the PS4 era when they started pushing towards this universe, and it may have just been that he was one of the people that was not a fan of this direction, and so when they started going this direction, he left. Whether he was welcomed to retire or just chose to leave, he left. Sean is like the OG PlayStation dude. If you watched any PlayStation showcase in the PS4 era, he was the guy on stage revealing it and launching it. He was one of the big decision makers for what games got greenlit. He was one of the big dudes within PlayStation last gen, and he was booted out in favor of Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan for the PS5 era, and we all know how that has gone. So seeing that he is not a fan of this direction is not really surprising, I would say. It's not that shocking. But fundamentally, the business is changing. And I think we've seen that with the increase in the number of ports from PlayStation to PC. We've seen them really broaden their horizon with live service launches that are also cross-platform. And they're also going to keep swinging at the live service batting cage. I don't know if that analogy makes sense. But they're going to keep going for it because, again, if you have one massive success, if you have one Destiny level success, one Battlefield level success, Fortnite level success, if you have one thing that does that well, it pays for 15 failures on the level of like probably we just talked about Contraband earlier in the stream. That was going to be another live service co-op game. It pays for like 15 of those, because if you can make a game that generates $1 billion a year, yeah, you can afford to lose 500 million, 600 million trying to get there. You can just keep going there. Sunk cost fallacy, it's a little different. It's literally gambling, which is why it's kind of funny that so many of these live service games are reliant on things like gacha or loot boxes and things in order to make money by basically pushing players into gambling to spend more money for card packs, for FC or whatever it may be. And now these companies are losing hundreds of millions of dollars gambling on which game is going to be a success, because they basically just throw crap at the wall and see what sticks. That's why it's so funny that like Helldivers 2 ended up being their biggest success so far. They barely marketed that game. I don't think Sony expected that to be a success. I don't think Arrowhead expected that to be anywhere near as successful as it was. It blew up. And I don't think they saw that coming at all. The one they thought was going to blow up was Concord. They really thought that one was going to do well. And we all know how that ended. So they do not have a great gauge of what's going to be successful and what's not. So they're just pumping out a ton of stuff, throwing it at the wall and seeing if it sticks. MLB as well. Yeah, MLB has done very, very well. That's a huge money.
I mean, if you knew which one was the best one,
Sony,
you will make it.
Yes, they're frustrated that games like Marathon are not going well. They're frustrated that games like Fair Games are not going well.
It's planned anyway.
Or Concord and things like that. That's obviously, they'd prefer if those were all hits, but
it's okay.
They kind of built into the budget that they were going to burn a lot of cash on a lot of things that probably wouldn't work, and they'll just keep doing it. It seems like the biggest lesson learned since the beginning of the generation, though, was that it is in fact disruptive to have your core teams working on these live service games while also trying to make single player games. I think they believed that they could have a Naughty Dog make a live service Naughty Dog at the same time as making The Last of Us 3 or Intergalactic or whatever, and it wouldn't be that disruptive. It's just like, oh, it's just another team. Just have two teams or whatever. And it turns out, no, it's way more complicated than that. It's not the same thing. And it took them like 4 or 5 years to figure that out. But now at least it seems like they are reworking things and trying to refocus. But again, they had Naughty Dog working on a live service thing. They had Bluepoint working on a live service God of War game. They apparently had the Days Gone devs.
I say those are all teams that they never release a live service game as well. So you asking a developer team to build something that they're not used to. Even if you hire people that are competent on that, you're still gonna make a loss out of it, because you don't know what you're building. You never had experience on that. That's why Dark Soul with this with Night Rain, that's what they're doing. They testing the water. They're trying to get experience out of it.
Working on a live service game. They had everybody, all hands on deck, working on live service stuff. A lot of it has gone nowhere, and years of dev time have been wasted. Billions of dollars burned in the furnace of live service pursuit. But they're still going at it. They're still going at it, because if they have just one success that's massive, it pays for all of it. That's the perhaps biggest takeaway from all of this, is that Sony, they may admit that their live service shift isn't going super smoothly, but that does not mean they're stopping.
I'm quite sure that From Software Studio will release a a game, a live service game to the level of almost Fortnite. That's how far we are at some point because of the work they're doing right now with Nirain. I'm sure they're gonna give a massive game that they can squeeze it till the end of time. And Sony may invest a lot of money on that, like buy it, you know?
They're still going. And who knows, maybe in a year we'll be playing the Horizon
Clip
Online,
it.
Monster Hunter, MMO, whatever the crap it is, and we'll be like, wow, they knew all along. We should have never doubted it. Claymation, Sea of Thieves, Fortnite, Saints Row reboot, Aloy is awesome. Maybe we'll be saying that. I don't know. Maybe Marathon will blow up and be massive and do super well, and we'll all have plushies of silkworms. I don't know. I think the point though is that Sony doesn't know either. They're just throwing crap at the wall and hoping it works. And call me old-fashioned. I don't think that's a super reasonable or rational way to run a business. And you could say, well, I don't think they actually are just seeing what sticks. Their judgment has been so consistently terrible this generation with what they should put effort into and what they shouldn't, what they should pour money into and what they shouldn't. I think it is effectively a crapshoot. The things they think are going to be big hits end up flopping catastrophically. The things they don't put much effort into do pretty well. It's quite funny. But yeah, the Sony Live Service push, it's a story we've been covering for a generation, and we're going to keep talking about it because it ain't over yet. We just getting started.
Be right back. 1 second, huh? Oh, wrong one. Today in England is hot. I had to turn on my fan. Back. Okay. I'm waiting one of my friends to log in. Maybe we can play some live service. Let's see if we find another YouTube video. Interesting. People are freaking out now. Let me see this.
So you have some people that are very surprised that Gen Z guys are very right-wing.
Context. On a new poll by Pew Research, something insane came up, with conservatives losing votes with the oldest generation while gaining massively with the youngest one, including women aged 18 to 29.
Over half of all guys that are Gen Z, young guys, are Republican and right-wing.
This was posted on the Gen Z subreddit, and people were freaking out.
I'm a younger millennial, and when I was growing up, nearly everyone under 30 was liberal, left-leaning, or disliked the Republicans. But there seems to have been a vibe shift where Gen Z overall still leans Democratic, but there is a deep and polarized gender schism. Gen Z women are leaning hard Democratic, where Gen Z men are leaning hard most Republican. Why? Are you guys hearing this on the ground? Is this the trad wife stuff too? Is it dating apps? Is it radical toxic feminism? Young men, tell me how you really feel. Others chime in too. This is a safe space for your perplexed millennial liberal uncle. And by the way, it's not a safe space. It's a locked post because people are getting opinions that they didn't want to hear. So this is the reason why there's a big difference between the genders. The reason why is because women in Gen Z have been the beneficiaries of the policies and initiatives that men have been the victims of. When you have women that are getting advantages in college, getting advantages in hiring processes, getting advantages in promotions, you have a lot of guys that see these women that are getting these opportunities and then they're not getting the opportunities. And if you think this is bad, just wait till you get to the kids even younger than this. you have a huge contingency of military-aged, able-bodied young men that are deeply unsatisfied with the way the government and the culture and the society and the country is going. That should be an extremely scary reality. You demonize them, you disenfranchise them, you made fun of them, you systematically put them at a disadvantage, and so when they come back,
I'm talking with my
that's
girl
what you get. Shouldn't have done it.
about this video here. I'm gonna watch it so you can guys see it. This one here. Where is it? Is it this one? This one? This one.
New church. Let's go ahead and listen to the new church.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his...
This is going to get way bigger, by the way. Way bigger. Like right now, you're seeing the first 10%.
New church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Isn't it crazy that the guy that has tattoos on himself from the Crusades wants the country to be a Christian nation again? I would have never predicted that. Who could have ever known? Wow.
Is planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes. So every society is theocratic. The only question is who's Theo. In a secular democracy, it would be demos, the people.
Sorry.
In a Christian republic, it'd be Christ.
Well, what would you say to someone watching this and say, look, I'm a Muslim. Who are you to say your worldview is better than mine, that your God is better than mine?
Well, if I went to Saudi Arabia, I would fully expect to live under their God's rules.
But you said...
I told y'all it's coming back. I told y'all this is what's going to happen. I've been saying this over and over and over. This is the angle that I think a lot of people are going to start using in order to push religious messaging and to push for a more homogenous culture, is that they're going to do it through religion.
Earlier that you want this to be a Christian world.
Yes.
So you want to supplant their religion with your
Absolutely.
Christian.
Yes, by peaceful means.
Course. Not by peaceful means. Not by peaceful means. The window has not shifted enough for you to say what you really think.
Not yet. It will be.
But
We will get there.
that'll change.
That will change, yeah.
By sharing the gospel, there's a lot of work yet to do. I believe that we are working our little corner of the vineyard.
Wilson's Little Corner, a picturesque campus nestled on the outskirts of downtown Moscow, Idaho, is growing by the day with thousands of like-minded Christians.
That's right.
Parishioners of his church, known as
Christian nationalism is going to be probably one of the fastest growing groups of people in the next 5 and 10 years. And I think that it's going to be adopted primarily by young people and Zoomers.
By young people, I
own
didn't
and
think
operate
old
several
people.
businesses downtown, next to liberal college town stores.
If it's true,
Why did he yell boo? It's because it's
because of me.
because of you.
Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
like
you had there you go.
That's a regular day for you.
That's not unusual.
No.
A big focus of his Christian movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind.
This was retweeted by the Secretary of Defense saying all of Christ for all of life. I don't sound so crazy anymore whenever I say that the 19th Amendment is going to be a conversation point, do I? I told you.
The people that
Oh my God, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1920, prohibits the federal and state government from denying the right to vote based on sex.
people come out of.
Watch out.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's
Well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue
No.
for you?
And no, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their
It's
4
not automatically an issue, but it will be. Yeah. I'm going to be CEO of a company. You're going to be CEO of the kitchen. Just the way it is. Why is this a problem for Christians? I think that people feel more comfortable criticizing Christianity versus criticizing Islam.
Because the
number
consequence.
one,
The
Islam is
consequence.
seen as a foreign religion, and Christianity is a domestic religion.
No, it's all about consequence.
And also, it's because of race politics. It's because Christianity is primarily a white person religion, and Islam is not. That's the reason why. Those are 2 of the main reasons.
No. It's the consequence.
kids moved here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no, in the sense that we're both saved by grace. We're absolutely on equal footing, but we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household.
Yes.
Yes, and I do submit to him.
So like moving here
I was just
was
gonna say that.
ultimately your decision.
Yes.
That's a great
great example.
Wilson says in his vision of a
Very
Christian
great.
society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastor
Retweeted by the Secretary of Defense. That's right. This is the reason why a lot of young people aren't supporting Trump. It's because he's not conservative enough. Yeah. Biggest L ever, religion should not substitute secular law. I'm not a big fan of being ruled by religion either. I think that most people, I am a Reddit atheist, okay? So I agree with you in a lot of these viewpoints, but I'm telling you where things are going.
Pastors Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same?
Right.
Why would you even ask this?
And
You know what the answer is. You know what just say it.
Person as you.
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as
Okay.
to say,
You see, they're still trying to play by the old rules. That's it. These worthless men are the reason why sexist women exist. I think that you are in for a very, very bad next 10 years. Probably next 20 years. You're in for a really bad time.
that they want the 19th Amendment.
Yeah.
and they promote it. They promote it. Those people who will complain about the situation, they were the first one to promote this to happen, with this support on Palestine, the support on immigration. This is gonna bite in your ass.
I would support that, and I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic about his view that women shouldn't be in certain leadership or combat roles.
They going all the way. Oh shit.
Looking at the leadership page for Christ Church,
Right.
it's all
guys.
men.
Yeah.
Well, what do you expect?
Yeah. Congratulations, Karen. You just figured that out.
Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church and in government?
In the
Church,
church,
no.
no.
Why?
Church, no.
Because the Bible says not to.
Yeah, 12 disciples and yeah.
Well, that's not what happens in the Bible. Women do lead all the time.
Progressive faith leader Reverend Jennifer Butler is concerned about Wilson's growing influence.
Of course they're concerned. I bet they are. Yep.
He is rapidly gaining in power. He has
He is.
hundreds of churches established around the country.
Look at her face.
These people have no idea where things
They
are going.
actually literally wanted to.
They have no idea what's going on here. This is a consensual situation. The end result of this is that it will not be. Clip it. And let's wait. For now.
Take over towns and cities, and they have access to this administration.
Yes.
Wilson is part of a broader Christian nationalist movement making inroads with the Trump administration, with a newly created faith office led by evangelical pastor Paula White Cain, and people seen right outside the White House entrance praying and speaking in tongues.
We are standing on the soil of the White House, and we are declaring your word.
How precious.
And now there's a monthly prayer service at the Pentagon, initiated by Hegseth.
This is exactly what I expected. Yep. Yeah, if you had told me that, again, the guy with a bunch of tattoos from the Crusades would be doing this, I would immediately believe it. Yep. And before people start calling him the Antichrist, you oppress enough people, don't expect a counterswing. I think that a lot of people view, and this is the reason why I think that it's happening. I think that it's happening primarily because they see encroaching religions, primarily Islam, taking hold in European countries, and I think that Americans are looking to inoculate themselves from that happening in America. And the way that they see that working is by taking on Christian nationalism as an oppositional perspective to Muslim nationalism or Islamic nationalism. And I think that's definitely what's happening here. And so these are people primarily who, I don't know if all of them necessarily believe everything in the Bible, but what I think that they do believe is that they want to be told what to do based off of the Bible and not the Quran. And I think that whenever you look at the way that the demographics have changed and the laws have changed in Europe, I think that many Americans see that and they don't want to see that happen here. That's the main reason why it's happening. It's self-preservation. Yes, it is. No one's telling them to do that, though. Well, I think that that's the perspective, right? The perspective is that a lot of these people, this is the outlook that a lot of them have, is that they're worried that if another religion comes into America and it creates enough of a power structure that it will effectively exercise its will over the people and it will supersede the existing laws. and they look at things like existing blasphemy laws and things like this that are being added in the UK or in Europe,
Yeah,
and they see that and they say, oh, well, if these people can live on their own, why are they trying to change the laws and make people tell what to do?
yeah, in UK is already happening. In UK, this is the way we're living. It's all about protecting or censoring whoever say the wrong thing against Muslim or stuff like that. Most of the leader, most of the big CEO here are all Muslim. It's crazy. They silently invade this nation. It's and a few days ago I was actually a few days ago I was in a pub and a hands up. Poi, crazy. Stavo parlando del musulmani qui in Londra. I keep try to speak in English. Let's say. Basically, I was in a pub a few days ago, and I ends up chatting with a random guy, kind of drunk, but still a British one. That is against. He started to say. Sento qualcuno parla in inglese. Praticamente questo qui ha iniziato la discussione dicendo io non sono razzista, io non sono non odio nessuna religione, però no, questa situazione ormai è insostenibile. Ci sono immigranti ovunque, il lavoro sembra appartenere a tutti a loro, i soldi che investiamo nelle tasse arrivano soltanto per sostenere sta gente che non lavora, non contribuisce, minchiate così. Cioè, c'è un'invasione assurda e nessuno ne parla. O comunque, se cerchi di parlarne, o vieni censurato o vieni addirittura arrestato. Dipende, perché ormai c'è la legge in cui se sei islamofobico sei perseguito dalla legge. Non so come fanno entrare solo musulmani. Fanno entrare è perché sono già entrati, capito? Cioè, e una volta che sono già entrati, basta che loro si sposano a vicenda o con altre persone e poi hanno il diritto di prendere altre persone della loro comunità nelle zone di guerra e portarle qui. E allo stesso tempo il modo in cui loro si riproducono tipo, sto parlando come se fossero animali, ma il modo in cui si riproducono è il triplo o il quadruplo di quello di cui facciamo noi. Cioè, nel giro di pochi anni hanno già 2 o 3 figli. Tutti musulmani. Tutti con la religione proprio stretta. No, noi cristiani, italiani cristiani che bestemmiamo e non crediamo in Dio. No, lì se non credi in Allah e nella religione che loro seguono, o vieni scomunicato o vieni punito proprio. Secondo me, più che fanno diventare tutti loro amici parenti, basta fare dei controlli come si deve. Non ci sono, cioè, la legge sembra proteggerli, e questa è la roba. Non li puoi, al momento, se loro entrano, è quasi impossibile buttarli fuori, sia attraverso la legge europea, nonostante la Brexit mica vale, e sia per la legge nazionale. Una volta che entrano qui è quasi impossibile buttarli fuori. Infatti e tutti arrivano o dalla Francia, la maggior parte. Sono barchette giornaliere che arrivano Forse si sta meglio in Italia. Forse si sta meglio in Italia grazie al... come si chiama la tipa? La Meloni. Qui veramente pochi ne vedo. Eh sì. Forse ora si sta quasi meglio in Italia. Qui si... E penso che siano cristiani. No, qui si esci... la prima cosa che vedo è sicuramente un musulmano. Cioè, è per farti capire quanti sono. Se io esco per strada, il primo che vedo sarà un musulmano. Perché vengono dall'Africa, sì. Vengono praticamente Africa, Italia o Africa, Spagna, queste due. Poi arrivano o in Germania o in Francia e poi da lì cercano di andare in UK. E la Spagna in questo momento è pro all'immigrazione. Cioè, non la Spagna inteso come la gente che vive in Spagna, la Spagna inteso come politica, è pro immigrazione, come governo, sì. Praticamente, cioè, loro non deportano neanche, cioè, loro danno incentivi persino alle persone che arrivano qui lì illegalmente. Tanto è brutta la situazione lì. Infatti in Spagna ormai la gente si è rotta, si è rotta. Si è rotta. Anche in Italia non è quanto, ma sarà molto più specifico di andare. Ah, in Italia praticamente se entri, se entri illegalmente, tu vieni vieni mezzo deportato in un altro stato confine in cui per un periodo di tempo nella quale ti verifico i dati, perché quando entri illegalmente io non so chi sei, non so quanti anni hai, non so perché sei qui, se veramente se stai veramente scappando da una guerra o se veramente ti stai cercando avventura. Quindi ti portano lì, non so in quale facility. Dicono tutti di essere minorenni, esatto, dicono tutti di essere minorenni, ma cioè e buttano via i passaporti. E per questo non li fanno entrare subito in Italia, ma li portano in un altro stato o qualche until fino a che non controllano veramente chi sono e da dove arrivano e che è solo in quel momento poi si decide cosa fare. Ma in questo momento l'Europa, le leggi europee vietano la deportazione per i rifugiati di guerra. Quindi è difficile deportarli a meno che non verifichi che siano degli abusivi. Quindi la Maloney, bene o male, ci prova. Ci prova, ci prova. Certo, poi sarei a casa mia se il mondo sarebbe come la Polonia, che chiude, fa il muro tipo Berlino e se tu lo trapassi ti spara in testa. Viva la Polonia. Viva la Polonia. Ti prego, Londra diventa una cazzo di Polonia. Sparagli in testa. Scusa Twitch, sparagli in testa no, ma sparagli. Se provano a varcare il ponte di Messina. Minchia cazzo. Polonia è città mia. Io non ti voglio, io no, se ti voglio ti metto dove voglio io e ogni 30 giorni ti mando qualcuno per vedere se ti sei integrato bene, se ti stai lavorando, se sei un problema per la comunità, se i tuoi figli si stanno adeguando alla religione o agli usi comuni del posto in cui ti ho messo. Perché la maggior parte di loro vengono qui e si fanno la loro comunità. Non sanno neanche parlare in inglese, cazzo. Non ci provano neanche a imparare l'inglese. Cioè, è assurdo. Anzi, coloro che riescono a imparare l'inglese cercano poi di assimilare altre persone originali da qui o comunque simili nella loro cultura, nella loro religione. Cioè, che cazzo di integrazione è questa? È un'invasione questa. Sai che non fatto questo valeva anche per gli italiani in America 100 anni fa, però è grave che non ne parlano nemmeno in inglese. Sì, però tra l'italiano e l'americano di 100 anni fa c'erano tantissime cose in comune. C'era la religione in comune. Bene o male era un- l'America di 100 anni fa era veramente la Spagna. La Spagna e gli italiani più o meno tutti cristiani, tutti bianchi, sai? Esatto. Però è chiaro che non ne parliamo dicevano le stesse cose, ti vai a leggere i giornali di 100 anni fa, esatto. E ora sto guardando un video di cui c'è no, non so se è un partito o comunque un movimento, diciamo, eh, cristiano nazionalista che è pro severo al cristianesimo, cioè proprio ai livelli di Handmaid's Tale, non so se hai visto quel programma, nel senso sarebbe meglio se le donne non votassero, sarebbe meglio se le donne rimarrebbero a casa a- per la famiglia, cioè a 200 anni fa quasi. Comunque sono già successe queste cose in Inghilterra quando c'era l'Iron Lady. E io non lo so, non ti so dire perché io la vedo per come la sto vivendo in questo momento. Uno schifo, veramente uno schifo. C'era bisogno di forza lavoro, c'era bisogno di forza lavoro, ma c'è sempre bisogno di forza lavoro, ma io ne stavo parlando giusto con un'amica della mia ragazza qualche giorno fa, e lei diceva, io sono pro all'immigrazione, perché io come tanti sono un'immigrata. Cale. E devo ringraziare lo Stato per avermi accolto, per avermi dato un lavoro e cose varie, ma allo stesso tempo è grazie a me che la nazione va avanti, perché se non ci fossero persone come me, alcuni lavori non sarebbero riempiti, diciamo. Hanno fatto tirare le persone da tutte le colonne e a un certo punto sono ridotti e hanno portato le battute. Comunque se nei supermercati è impossibile comprare macchine o case. È impossibile comprare di tutto. E la ragazza diceva, eh, voglio vedere qual è questo britannico che si mette a lavare i cessi o a fare il muratore di turno o a fare qualche lavoro eh, low, come si dice, low skill. E io gli rispondevo, ma sai perché succede? Perché abbiamo l'alternativa, abbiamo voi, che possiamo assumere voi per fare questo lavoro e lo possiamo assumere a un prezzo minore di quello che un Britan chiederebbe. Quindi perché cercare, perché investire nella propria forza quando mi posso affidare a voi? Cioè, grazie a questo motivo. Poi dai, questi lavori stanno tornando, gli attivisti stanno facendo dei big money. Eh sì, cioè, se tu togli l'immigrazione, io sono sicuro che il popolo stesso va a finire con l'accettare di fare quel lavoro. Cioè, non hai bisogno dell'immigrazione per avere qualcuno che ti coltiva la terra, non hai bisogno dell'immigrazione per avere qualcuno che ti ripara un rubinetto. Investi nelle proprie nelle persone della propria nazione. Cioè, se gli dai i soldi per continuare nel 2025 a nel canale. Eh sì, anche. Cioè, e niente.
Do you see kind of what I'm saying here? So why do we have to swap pussy Karens from Christ Karens? Because again, and I think that it's a lesser of two evils. That's the way that they see it, and that's the way a lot of people see it. Islam places more limitations on women than Christianity ever did. I don't care about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way that people think and how they're evaluating this.
Il problema è che negli ultimi 40 anni si è spinto solo per l'università. E lì c'è un altro introllazzo nel mezzo. Lì è soltanto per convincere la gente a indebitarsi, semplicemente. È un modo per le banche per far soldi subito. Nessuno ha fatto un percorso per fare altri lavori, tempo perso. E sono d'accordo. Sono d'accordissimo. Sono d'accordissimo. È uno spreco. Actually, è un'opportunità mancata, secondo me. Perché l'università è giusta. Specializzarsi in qualcosa è giusto. È il costo di quella specializzazione che non va bene. Ci sono molti lavori che pagano molto bene e formiamo solo per l'università. È un loop. Se al momento in cui tu finisci l'università hai la certezza matematica di trovare un lavoro, allora quasi quasi lo... come si dice in italiano? Lo accetto. E il problema è che non hai neanche la certezza. Hai soltanto il debito, la certezza che hai è il debito dell'università. Ora è un pezzo di carta. Ora è un pezzo di carta. E nonostante sia un pezzo di carta, è uno dei pezzi di carta che comunque devi avere. Cioè, in questo momento non dico tutte le facoltà. Che poi è una cosa assurda. E poi con l'intelligenza artificiale sta cazzo di pezzo di carta diventa ancora più ridicola, no? Però un buon 70%, sì. Sì, sì, sì.
See this happening, I think that you're very delusional. I think that you're not paying attention, and I think that you're intentionally blind. This is where things are going, and I think it's going to become more and more extreme. And as religion, and also here's another reason too, is that the lack of a global culture, right? Or sorry, a national culture. Like America had a much more homogenous natural culture, even whenever I was a kid versus now. I think that there's a lot of people that want to go back to that, and they see that one of the vehicles of going back to that is religion, and that's primarily Christianity here in America.
Esatto.
So,
la gente vuole credere soltanto in una cosa. Cioè, la cristianità in America, in Italia è radicale. Non la puoi cambiare dal giorno al domani con flotte di immigrati che arrivano senza neanche integrarli per bene. È assurdo.
that's the reason why it's happening. That's where it's going. Keep religion out of politics.
No.
Here's the problem.
Cioè, come fai a separare la politica dalla religione? È impossibile.
And you can debate whether this is true or
È
not, but I'm telling you,
impossibile.
this is what people believe. People don't want to keep religion out of politics
No.
out of a very, very simple thing that other people won't keep their religion out of politics. So they view this as you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. You see what I'm saying? Religion is politics. Yes, exactly, right?
È 100% quello il problema. È il far entrare le persone senza integrarle, capito? Ok, entrate, vai. Cioè, entrate nel mio territorio, fate quello che volete. Vi do una casa, un albergo dove stare a mie spese. E non vi controllerò quello che... Cioè, non controllerò da questo momento in poi il vostro percorso. Siete qui, fate quello che volete. Cioè, è assurdo, che mentalità è? Immagina, io faccio sempre l'esempio del nucleo familiare. Immagina tu sei a casa tua e lo Stato ti butta dentro una persona e lo Stato non controlla quella persona cosa sta facendo. E quella persona è di un'etnia diversa dalla mia, di una cultura diversa dalla mia e di una religione diversa dalla mia. Crei una situazione disastrosa. Basterebbe un musulmano in casa mia per non distruggere l'ecosistema della casa, ma creare problemi, secondo me. Perché la sua cultura è molto diversa dalla mia, sicuramente.
And so anyway, USA does have kings, exactly, and so that's really what it is, and vice versa, exactly. And so yeah, it's reactionary. It is in a lot of cases. Denmark banned the burqa. Have you seen that? Yeah, I did see a little bit of that. It's not impossible to keep religion out of politics. People just don't want to. Well, do you think 9/11 may have had an impact on this? Oh, of course it did. It absolutely did.
100%.
Of course.
Wilson's highest level connection to the administration.
It's not organizationally tied to us, but it's the kind of thing we love to see.
For his part, Hegseth has publicly praised Wilson.
He has.
Now we're standing on the shoulders of a generation later, the Doug Wilsons and the others.
Wilson's influence spans the globe with more than 150 churches. Linux Kalafangwa moved to Moscow from Africa.
It's really because I wanted to be a part of a community that was doing something, and especially in building Christian institutions.
Are there other black families in this community?
Oh, absolutely.
What a weird, stupid question to ask, especially from that name. Like that's
Esatto.
Name.
Esatto.
Christianity is massive in Africa. Now, the type of Christianity that's in Africa isn't the same as like Orthodox Christianity or like, you know, Catholicism. It's not directly the same, but it's similar. Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, it's huge.
There's a few black families.
Wilson maintains all are welcome to his church, but he's also not shying away from his past controversial statements on race.
Do you still...
I would have never guessed. Wow.
believe what you said back in the 90s, that there's a mutual affection between master and slave?
Yes, it depends on which master and which slave you're talking about. Slavery was...
Ho chiesto a Grok in Africa qual è la percentuale di religione per popolazione, ed è 50% cristiana, 44% islamica e poi il resto altre religioni minori, diciamo. Quindi dall'Africa una persona su due cioè una persona su due o è islamica o cristiana.
Overseen and conducted by fallen human beings, and there were horrendous abuses, and there were also people who owned slaves who were decent human beings and didn't mistreat them. I think that system of chattel slavery was an unbiblical system.
Tutto in Nord Africa, sì, tutto in Nord Africa. Actually, La tua osservazione è giusta. What about North Africa versus South Africa? Esatto, vedi? Nord Africa sono 93% islamici, 4% dei cristiani. E South Africa è 85% cristiani e 0 islamici. Questo è il problema, ti dico. Sì, eh sì. Che tra l'altro ha sempre stabilizzato il Medio Oriente. E tra l'altro veramente le nazioni più avanzate, diciamo, accelerazioni, le regioni più avanzate sono quelle in Sudafrica, no? Quelle in cui l'inglese viene parlato come quasi lingua primaria. Non lo è? What's the most region in Africa? Actually, give me a wealth by region in Africa so that I understand the health. Ho chiesto qual è che è la media, diciamo, non la media, la suddivisione di wealth. Du. Ah. Let's see. Il grafico. So, la faccio vedere qui. Photoshop. Così sono sicuro che puoi vederla anche su screen. New. Vedete, la regione più ricca in Africa è la South Africa. Poi c'è Egitto Nord, Nigeria West, Kenya East e Morocco Nord. Ma è normale, penso. Sì. Sì, sì. Perché l'America e l'Europa investe nella South Africa. È sempre una linea di posto, ovviamente, sì. È sempre Africa, no? Sono sicuro di quello, sì.
I told you guys. I told you.
Same-sex marriage because he thinks
Scusami, vado
Was
indietro.
a human being. Horrendous abuses, and there were also people who owned slaves who were decent human beings and didn't mistreat them. I think that system of chattel slavery was an unbiblical system, and I'm grateful it's gone.
what he also wants gone.
I told you guys. I told you.
Same-sex marriage because he thinks
Vabbè, ovviamente i cristiani vogliono abolire.
Remember what I said before about how people are going to become slaves again? There's no such thing as ethical slavery. Okay.
Ok.
homosexuality is a crime.
In the late 70s and early 80s, sodomy was a felony in all 50 states. That America of that day was not a totalitarian hellhole.
So you would like America to go back to that?
Yep.
Wilson maintains his ultimate goal is to bring about
Yep, that's it. That's the goal.
the second coming of Christ through his work and rejects critics' claims he's trying to make the dystopian world of The Handmaid's Tale a reality.
I'm not a white nationalist. I'm not a fascist. I'm not a racist. I'm not a misogynist.
How far off do you see a Christian nation, like a full-on Christian theocracy?
Oh,
15 years away.
15 years.
50 years.
250 years.
Yeah, honestly, that's yes.
What you see. But you do think it will happen?
Yes, I do. We're not going to usher in anything ourselves. We're really genuinely pioneers.
I think it'd be 50. 250 is a long time. Not a chance, 0%.
Cosa intendi per si aggiustano in automatico? Come è successo con l'impero romano quando le persone stavano troppo bene? In che senso?
Well, anyway, so this is the new guy. This guy pretending people weren't doing sodomy just because it was illegal. Yeah, but it's like they weren't able to do it publicly and it was controlled and people weren't able to express themselves in the same way. So I do think that's a pretty big difference. Let me see if I can pull up a few more of these here. And here's another one. Pete Hegseth gives a, well, let's just see what he does.
Mr. Hegseth, do you think the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated as a terrorist organization?
Why did your chief of
La società deve adesso questo.
I told you guys that's the reason why it's happening. That's it. Egypt think so? Yep.
staff tried to
Credo
help the
che
lighthouse liaison?
ho l'impressione che quando tu dici la società devia verso queste tendenze sessuali è stato dimostrato addirittura con i topi. Io penso che sia nella natura animale, ergo essere vivente, inteso come essere vivente, che come lo dico senza sembrare weird, che sia normale provare cose diverse, credo sia il modo giusto per spiegarlo. Non è anormale, esatto, non è normale, cioè lo vedi anche in natura, certe behave non normali, cioè come lo devo spiegare, cioè è normale vedere gay stuff o homosexual stuff, però se il tuo obiettivo è il sopravvivere all'ultimo dei problemi, se non è sopravvivere, è procrearsi, come si dice in italiano. Se il tuo obiettivo è espandere la tua famiglia e allora sì, quello è un problema. Ma sopravvivere non ha niente a che fare con l'omosessualità. Un'omosessualità, anzi, è molto più likely in natura a sopravvivere. E che in natura esiste la... cioè è mandatorio riprodursi. Proprio la natura è fatta in modo che deve che l'essere vivente deve riprodursi a qualsiasi costo.
Again, it's a shock that the guy with Crusader tattoos, you know, really would think that, isn't it? Who could have ever believed this?
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's
Well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and
Well, this is the same one. I was seeing if there was another one here, but let's see if I can find it. Pete Hegseth shares a clip saying women shouldn't have the right to vote. The 19th Amendment should be repealed and women should have to submit to their husbands. All of Christ for all of life. The United States Secretary of Defense just promoted a clip called...
Cos'è Universo 25? L'esperimento coi topi. Universo 25. È il nome di un famoso esperimento di etologia condotto negli anni 60-70 dallo scienziato americano John Cohn per studiare gli effetti del sovraffollamento e l'isolamento sociale nei topi. Creò un ambiente ideale per i topi chiamato appunto Universo 25, che avevano cibo, acqua e spazio a disposizione senza predatori o malattie. Nonostante le condizioni ottimali, la popolazione di topi raggiunse un punto critico e iniziò a manifestare dei comportamenti anomali, portando al crollo della società dei topi. Con l'aumento della densità, i topi iniziano a manifestare comportamenti devianti, come l'aggressività, cannibalismo, ipersessualità, rifiuto delle cure parentali e isolamento. Figo. L'esperimento mostrò come il sovraffollamento, anche in assenza di risorse limitate, potesse portare al collasso sociale e comportamentale. L'implicazione dell'uomo, Calum interpretò questo esperimento come una metafora della società umana, suggerendo che anche in assenza di carenza di risorse, il sovraffollamento e la mancanza di spazio sociale possono portare a conseguenze negative. Figo. Figo figo. Figo figo. Figo. Sarebbe fantastico poter leggere il pensiero dei topi in quel momento per capire che cazzo pensavano. Sarebbe stupendo. Come hai detto, il fatto di stare troppo bene. Minchia. È sempre una cosa... Non penso sia mai una cosa positiva. Non penso sia mai una cosa positiva. Se no non vedessi questo gruppo di Keren bianchi lamentarsi del white fascist di turno, gridare al nazismo senza mai aver vissuto quell'era. Si sta troppo bene rispetto a come si stava, come una donna media stava negli anni 60-40. Io che ne parlo così posso sembrare sessista, però non penso di aver torto.
Calling for women to lose their right to vote. Yep. Keep in mind,
Siamo anche nel ciclo molto vicino alla guerra, o quella parte di me nel ciclo storico.
it has not even been 1 year.
Siamo a tanto così, dal prossimo Hitler. Io lo dico. Clippa, siamo a tanto così dal prossimo Hitler.
Here. Wow.
Nella prima guerra mondiale non c'è nessun H. H? H per... H stand for something? H... Puoi dire la parola, qui non viene censurato, non preoccupare. Non ti reporto it. Scrivi. Non ti preoccupare, non succede niente. Non viene censurato. Ah, Hitler. Hitler, right? Fuck Twitch. No, Twitch, io ti ringrazio per lo spazio che mi dai. Nella prima guerra non c'è nessun Hitler. Ma c'è sempre... Vabbè, la prima guerra è giusto, hai ragione. C'è stato un grosso periodo di pace, anche come anche in quello precedente alla prima. Mm. Grossi periodi di pace portano a grosse guerre. Vabbè, è una conseguenza, cioè non è una conseguenza, ma è un pattern, un ciclo, secondo me. Cioè una cosa non dura mai per sempre. Oh, you're right, come anche l'America ha avuto un periodo troppo grosso di dominanza. Secondo me ce l'ha ancora. Secondo me la prossima guerra o sarà religiosa alla Hitler, capito? Non diciamo cioè tra religiosa e razziale alla Hitler, o sarà economica tra Cina e America. Probabilmente si scatenerà nella zona thailandese. Al momento la Thailandia è sotto l'occhio della Cina e dell'America, perché chi ha potere in Thailandia o controllo ha il controllo praticamente di un passaggio marittimo, passaggio economico, uno dei più grandi nel globo. Secondo me una crisi economica dell'America farà scattare una grossa guerra. Secondo me una crisi economica dell'America non arriverà mai. Secondo me sarà una sorta di minaccia di un altro stato che possa spodestare l'America dall'essere la powerhouse. Tipo, ti faccio un esempio, anche se banale fosse. Io pensavo che la Russia fosse non allo stesso livello, allo stesso livello dell'America, inteso come potenza. Oh my god, nella mia testa parlo sia in inglese che in italiano. Potenza armamentale. Ma quasi, pensavo che il gap fosse minimo. E invece, da quando la Russia è andata in guerra con l'Ucraina, si è rivelata essere una merda. Cioè, io pensavo che la Russia avrebbe conquistato l'Ucraina nel giro di pochi mesi. E a distanza di quanto? 3 anni, 4 anni? E ancora sono lì a batterselo. Ok, che forse l'Ucraina ha l'Europa come alleato primario, ma è assurdo, è assurdo. Se la sono cavata benissimo, non bene. Benissimo. Cioè, benissimo. E la Russia ha avuto supporto dalla Cina e dalla Corea in questi ultimi mesi e anni. E nonostante tutto, nada. Quindi non ho idea di come sia la potenza. ehm, la- quale sia la vera potenza cinese a livello militare.
Breaking news, a whopping 365 people have been arrested as of 6 p.m. for supporting the proscribed group Palestine Action in a demonstration.
Sicuramente molto superiore a livello di numero, ma forse sì, a livello di numero sì, ma a livello di esperienza non penso sia minimamente vicina a quella americana o anche monetariamente non sembrano investire as much as America. A livello tecnologico. E a livello tecnologico cosa? Cioè, a livello tecnologico l'Ucraina è una bestia a confronto con la Russia. E la Russia se ha avuto supporto dalla Cina o Corea, probabilmente avrà avuto anche supporto in termini di tecnologia. Eppure non ha sbilanciato per niente la guerra tra i due country. Un attimo faccio una chiamata. L'amorosa mi ha chiamato. Un secondo, eh. Scusami, rieccomi. Investono, vero, però non è che la Cina dà tutto il meglio. Gli avrei dato quello che non gli serviva. Ma sembra una brutta figura, fa, no? Il peggio del peggio fa soltanto una brutta figura. Cioè, non avrei dato neanche quello.
On Parliament Square today. This is very, very
Però effettivamente la Russia probabilmente avrà pagato qualcosa per il peggio del peggio, quindi sì, è un win-win. No win-win, but quasi. Sì, ma cosa può fare la Russia contro la Cina? Ma cosa può fare la Russia contro qualsiasi stato a questo punto? Cioè, se non riesce a conquistare l'Ucraina, immagina qualsiasi altro stato europeo, a parte l'Italia forse. Ho paura che l'Italia si la troverebbe nel deretano alla velocità della luce. Però
serious because the kind of criminal record people are going to get for this could potentially ruin their lives. It's very different to being arrested for simply sitting in the road for Just Stop Oil when you're not supposed to be there. This is pretty serious stuff. We're going to look into some footage of what has been happening. I'm going to show you a big statement that's been put out by the Met Police as well, so stay tuned for that. But first of all, I'm going to show you some footage from earlier in the day from GB News. They've of course been doing some fantastic reporting down there with Dougie Beattie to just show you how the police have dealt with this situation.
You just scan around there, you can see the Metropolitan TSG, and then as you come up here, you can see the City of Police, London Police, forming that very textbook line of one facing one way, one the other way, so each watches the other one's back, and what that's for is so as they can make arrests.
produciamo tantissime armi, ma abbiamo alcune delle aziende militari più grosse. Non a caso l'Italia è una delle potenze mondiali, anche a livello di abitanti, la maggior parte degli stati europei. Ah, oui? Serio? 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 $10 milioni noi li facciamo stando a Milano, no? Quante persone ci sono a Milano? Milano, abitanti. No, cazzo. 1,5 milioni. Pensavo di più, sai? Londra, abitanti. 9 milioni, cazzo. Cioè, io pensavo che Milano fosse... non ci sono mai stato, PS. Ma pensavo che Milano equal Londra. Invece non è neanche la metà. In ogni caso, Milano e aziende militari. No, solo il Milano, Italia. Hai ragione. Dai veicoli a sistemi navali fino ad arrivare ad armi e munizioni. Il combattimento delle forze italiane è anche caratterizzato da un'elevata quotazione di esportazioni. Con un focus su Europa e Americhe. Cool. Roma è molto più grande. Roma, abitanti. 2 milioni e 7. Minchia. Che interessante.
Like this one here, and this is a
Here we
pensioner
go.
that's being arrested, and it means that nobody can interfere with them as they bring these arrests out. So ordinary constables going in, making the arrests, and then what's happening is the TSG is making sure that nobody comes in from the sides and interferes with the arrest. But as
Very
that
organised operation by
amount
the
of
police
people
here.
in the middle that are getting arrested gets smaller and smaller. We'll just get out of the road here, Charlie, because we're going to bring this arrest out. As they get smaller and smaller, the police are pushing more and more resources into that area to try and clear the area. It should have been cleared around about an hour ago. From the people of the police that I have spoke to here, officers in the police, they're telling me it could be 5:30 this evening before they actually get the green here behind us cleared.
Tutti sti pro-palestini non vedono la situazione non vedono la situazione del futuro. Non capiscono che essere pro-palestini significa essere pro-musulmani, significa che un giorno tua moglie dovrà indossare il cazzo di coso perché sarà illegale non indossarlo. Non capisco da dove escono fuori. Comunque Gaza era uno stato terroristico. I know.
So as you can hear there, Dougie Beattie, the reporter for GB News, saying this was meant to be done hours ago. I mean, that clip that we showed you there was from quite a long time ago. He said it might go on to 5:30. We're now, at the time of filming, we're past 6 o'clock, and it seems like they're still just finishing up there. And this has gone on for a long time, I guess, because the police, they've had to have this operation where they kind of go in and arrest people one by one, and there were so many people to arrest that it has taken them like all day to get the job done. A huge number of coppers there, as you can see. Let's just take a look at this. Was a photo.
A cosa ti riferisci? Ma secondo me quello che può succedere, solo che quello che è successo può portare solo a cose positive in futuro. A cosa ti riferisci? L'occupazione di Gaza. Ok.
Posted on Twitter, on X, by the Met Police. You can see just how big the crowd is there. We have one photo there, quite iconic.
L'occupazione di Gaza da parte di Israele? What? Da parte degli ebrei? Giusto? Intendi quella? I terroristi continuano a tenere in ostaggio. Io sono pro... Io actually sono pro nessuno, però io penso che la Palestina qui abbia fatto un errore. Le persone sane di mente si sarebbero rese. No, nella loro religione non esiste la resa. Capisci? Nella loro religione non esiste la resa. Non c'è quella parola. Non esiste quella parola.
Photo there of a lady being arrested, one of the many 365 people. That is a big new update, because the last figure that we heard about an hour ago was that it was 200 confirmed. Now we're at 365, and you just saw in that video there from GB News one old guy being arrested. Now I want to show you, as I mentioned at the start of this video, that this criminal record that you will get for being one of these 365 people arrested is probably a lot more serious than some of them being arrested may have realized. And I want to show you Dougie Beattie again from GB News explaining this to the audience.
There's probably about 100 people left to be arrested and carted off out of the road.
As you can see, this was at 5:30.
Holding cells somewhere. They're then processed. They can show identity. They can show everything else. Well, then they'll be shifted on, and that arrest will sit with them. Now, the problem is, of course, is this arrest that I've been saying all day is for a prescribed terrorist organisation, and that is a different arrest from just being arrested for protest. And many of the people that are here would have been in Just Stop Oil, Friends of the Earth, etc., and they don't realise that this is a different criminal record. And many young people here, one 27-year-old girl that I was speaking to earlier was just arrested and taken out of here. And you have to ask, what does her future look like with that arrest on her record? Problems for mortgages, travel, education, and of course employment later on in life. And I know that because I come from Northern Ireland, where there was many protests where prescribed terrorist organisations were supported, and what happened afterwards was really those young people's lives were very much affected for the rest of it, and that included with marriage. So as much as many of the activists here see this as a victory for them today, for the older people here that might be correct, those have just stopped oil, but for the younger people you have to ask what lies ahead for them. And was any of these younger people that were
Niente, ma non vedono il futuro, non capiscono le azioni, cosa stanno facendo con le azioni in questo momento.
and really ask ourselves, did we do right by them and do they understand the consequences?
Nada, non
So there
capiscono
we
un
go.
cazzo.
The very serious consequences of being arrested explained there. This could ruin the lives of those young people being arrested. Some of the people being arrested were pensioners, and you know what? They're not going back to work anymore. They don't need to find a job again. Their mortgage is paid off, and maybe it's not going to affect them too badly. But the young people there who think it's like a, you know, there are
Tu mi chiedi se 90-100k sono buoni per vivere a Londra. Io ti faccio vedere una cosa che forse ti stupisce. Anzi, googla tu stesso. Quante sono le persone che prendono quel salario a Londra? Actually, let me ask Grok. How many people in the UK earn 90 to 100k? Io lo dico 0.5 o 1.5%. Secondo me. Perché il minimo qui a Londra è 12 pound e 50, che significa 25 mila l'anno, e quello è il minimo. Una persona media probabilmente ne guadagna 35. Epic, aspetta. 100k, 90-100k in UK o in America è molto differente. La differenza è enorme. Perché in genere il salario 80-100 sembrerebbe essere quello americano. Quello americano in suolo California zona. In UK sono tantissimi. Sono tanti. Sono tantissimi. Sono tantissimi a mio parere. Cioè, un senior ne prende 40, 50-ish l'anno. In genere il 90-100 che dici tu è tipo regional manager. Cioè, nel senso, una posizione molto alta. Sì. 90-100 sono tantissimi soldi comunque. Perché veramente in 3 anni ti paghi una casa. Con quei soldi.
martyr, and it's a win for them if they're arrested. I think a lot of them may be regretting their decisions. Make sure you subscribe to this video if you're enjoying it. We are going to take a look in just a moment at the Met Police statement that's been
Fai quello che devi, perché minchia, a un salario del genere è la fine del mondo.
This could ruin their lives. Do you think that that is a very out of proportion punishment for supporting this group. I think that some of us can agree that, well, maybe not all of us, but many people will be
Minchia,
of the view
complimenti per essere
that
comunque stato
Palestine
selezionato.
action is nowhere near.
Anzi, mi devi dire come hai fatto a essere stato selezionato. Cioè, cosa ha contribuito secondo te? Ha avuto referenze o un job in particolare che hai fatto è stato visto come una cosa positiva? Ho scritto un ottimo CV. Me lo passi? Me lo passi? Please, passamelo, sono curioso. Che è arrivato al test. Passami che sono curioso. Non divulgherò i tuoi dati a nessuno, se sono protetti, puoi anche rimuovere il tuo nome, cognome, dove vieni, cioè a me interessa soltanto l'esperienza lavorativa o tutto il resto, capito? A meno che le tue informazioni sono qualcosa che devo imitare pure. Comunque sì, sono curioso.
As serious as supporting a group like ISIS or Hamas. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm a bit on the fence about this. I think it may be a little bit out of proportion. But also you can say that they were idiots for going down there and doing that, perhaps not actually taking a moment to Google and have a look at what the possible consequences would be for their criminal record, taking part in such an event where what they were doing was illegal, sitting in Parliament Square with those placards. Now, let's take a look at the Met Police statement. The reason why I want to show you this is because there has been some controversy as to how successful the Met Police operation has been down in Parliament Square. So the aim of these Palestine Action supporters, they made very clear, was that they would have safety in numbers. They would bring down so many people that the police would be overwhelmed and they wouldn't be able to arrest everyone. They wouldn't be able to cope with the situation. And a lot of people have said, oh, there have only been a few hundred people arrested, but there were like double that many people there protesting. They have come out.
Grazie.
This is a statement from 3
C'è qualcosa in particolare che dovrei notare?
Around 200 arrests, as I've confirmed. That is now, as of 6 p.m., 300
Secondo la tua
arrests. This is what they have
somma
to say about
esperienza.
these rumors that they hadn't managed to arrest everyone. They say, we're aware of a statement by Defend Our Juries, the organisers of today's protest, claiming we were only able to arrest a fraction of those breaking the law in Parliament Square this afternoon. That claim simply isn't true. We estimate there were around 500 to 600 people in Parliament Square when the
Le
protest
keyword
began.
sono
But many
importanti
were
sicuramente.
onlookers, media, or people not holding placards in support of Palestine Action. We are confident that anyone who came to Parliament today to hold a placard, so that was the grounds on which you'd be arrested, expressing support for Palestine Action, was either arrested or is in the process of being arrested. As of 3:40 p.m, the number of arrests for showing support for a prescribed organisation was 200, with more to follow. That's now at 365.
Developed a custom meta-human-based facial system for high fidelity character animation. Cos'è Somo? Battleground. Oh. Ero arrivato al test per GameDev Barcellona, ma proponevano una paga ridicola. Posso chiedere quanto proponevano? Auto curiosi. E qual era il tuo ruolo? Finiamo. È quello il salary. Normalmente è quello il salary a Londra. Tra i 35 e i massimo 60. Cioè quel 90-100 è dal lead designer, cioè dal lead o leccaculo altissimo livello. Mhm. E costa più di Milano. Per pagare 1000-1200 di affitto per stare in un buco, sì. Lo stesso è qui, Qui paghi 600-700 se il buco lo condividi con qualcuno, cioè se vai in una casa con altre 5 stanze, con altre 5 persone come te che vivono in una stanza grande quanto un letto. Se condivido una stanza, 500, ma... sì. Io ho comprato una casa qui. Bravo, bravo Crazy, bravo. E ci ho fatto un B&B. E come va, actually? C'è la mia ragazza qui che vorrebbe spendere e espandere. E io non ho mai speso ed espanso, quindi non ho idea di cosa consigliarle. Solo quello dovrebbe essere circa 10.000 l'anno. Airbnb, cioè, aspetta, la domanda è, hai trovato qualcuno che rimane lì fisso? È una casa che condividi? Cioè, nel senso, ci abiti e condividi tipo una stanza o qualcosa del genere? Eh sì, mi basta trovare qualcosa di minimamente decente da remoto, se non so proprio... Mm. L'idea tua non è male. Fa vivere sia di rendita che di lavoro giusto remoto. Minchia. Hai fatto... Hai fatto 100... Sì. Hai fatto 100... Ti ho mandato le foto. La casa l'hai ristrutturata? Perché vedo delle case in cui c'era una stanza... Eh, no, vecchio stile, non ve lo dico. Una casa tipica siciliana. E poi mi hai sharato delle foto con una ben fatta. Era prima e dopo, ecco. Minchia, sì. Domanda. Quanto ti è costato prima e quanto ti è costato ristrutturarla? E quanto è facile no venderla, ma affittarla? 8.000 senza tasse. Ok? Pochissimo, by the way. Cioè, è gratis. Ah no, da gratis. Porco cane. 12.000 con le tasse. Still gratis, in my opinion. Ok. E quanto ti è costata ristrutturarla? E portarla come la vedo nelle foto. Quindi incluso arredamento. 3.000 di allacci luce e acqua, ok. E 36 di lavori. Ok, quindi diciamo 12, 15, 35, quindi 50, intorno a 50.000, in cui il 50% dovrebbe tornare indietro in 10 anni. Ah? Ah? Ho fatto un finanziamento. Ah? Quindi praticamente ti hanno dato il 50%? Nel senso c'era una sorta di incentivo che ti permetteva di pagare il 50% dei lavori? Perché l'altro 50% ti sarebbe tornato indietro entro 10 anni? Una cosa del genere? Con l'azienda collegata a Leroy Merlin. Mhm. L'altro 50 lo finanziano loro senza interessi. Però qual è il loro ricavo? Gli devi dare un affitto? Cioè una parte dell'affitto? Ci guadagnano il fatto che si prendono una persona sui lavori sicuramente, ok. Interessante. Ok. Quindi hai speso una sorta di 50, diciamo 60.000 euro tra... Diciamo 65.000 euro. Diciamo 70.000 euro. No, perché come si dice? In italiano l'hai arredata. E poi ci sono i costi legali e minchiate varie. Right? O diciamo 60. Costa 2.000-3.000 euro? Un cazzo. Qua 2.000-3.000 euro ti si squaglia soltanto per comprare qualche mobiletto per la cucina. È la cucina. E c'è il cooker. Holy shit. Ho dimenticato i prezzi che ci sono in Italia ormai. La cucina è costata 400-500 euro. Il boiler e il condizionatore 1.000 euro insieme. Porco giuro, un cazzo. Quindi veramente con meno di 50.000 euro hai una casa arredata e pronta per essere affittata, giusto? Cioè con meno di 60. Qui 60 è il minimo per fare l'affitto, per fare un mortgage. Esatto. In ogni caso, vabbè, in ogni caso hai speso 60, giusto? Più o meno. E quanto è facile affittarla? Trovare qualcuno che l'affitta, cioè, che ci sta. tu la usi come B&B, quindi mi aspetto che le persone vanno, cioè arrivano e se ne vanno subito. Hai un'agenzia, sto aspettando agibilità dall'architetto. Ah, ok, quindi non l'hai ancora affittata, giusto? Ah, by the way, se a un certo punto mi sto facendo troppo i cazzi tuoi, alzo le mani e ti capisco. Mi puoi bloccare in qualsiasi momento. Io sono tanto curioso perché è un investimento che sto pensando di fare anch'io insieme alla mia ragazza. Ho finito una settimana. È un problema, tanto è un caso solato. Ok, ok. Metto un po' di e-sport come sottofondo. EA Games. YouTube. Faccio il ciao.
che mi aveva impedito di missare alcune chicche. E poi finito il gioco non ho
Ci posso, comunque, sì, l'investimento è lo stesso tipo di investimento che vorrei fare io. Io più che da viverci da affittare. Anche se non andassi bene bene, o mi scocciasse, sì, avresti una casa, un posto dove stare senza pagarlo, sì. E alla peggio ti fai una mansata, cioè un secondo piano per te stesso e ci vai a vivere e l'altro lo affitti. Non è male, non è male. C'è in Sicilia case a basso prezzo, in Fanculonia le trovi. E che la cosa che mi spaventa di più è trovare la gente giusta che poi ci abita. Ho paura che me la distruggono o che finisce in quelle situazioni dove non se ne vanno, cioè nel senso di tutti i colori. Non è possibile fare due accessi. Vabbè, ok, ho capito. Il mio paese è strategico. La casa è a 2 minuti dal bus. Ok, ok. Sento metropolitana da Albero Bello, 25 minuti da Bari. Mhm. Una della Madonna e una della Nascita del Santo, quindi zona periodo invernale. Se prendi una casa nelle campagne, te la svaligiano. Ora, no, qui in Sicilia te la svaligiano. È facile affittare secondo me perché esatto, anche quello c'è da vedere, sì. I danni alla struttura li devi mettere in conto, è normale che si possa rompere qualcosa. Ma quando, cioè, sono d'accordo, sì, però non ti aspetti che qualcosa si rompa nell'arco di un anno di vita, capito? Qualcosa si romperà, sì, nel futuro, ma quando già hai messo qualche soldino da parte, capito? Sì, un budget per le spese strane ci sta. Comunque, bravo, approve it, approve it. E farò anch'io lo stesso prima o poi. Anzi, con l'aiuto della mia ragazza sarà anche forse un po' più facile. Sarà una dopo l'altra. Hopefully. Hopefully. E poi si campa di tendita. Se... Perché a casa ho lo smart lock. Mm. Mi non do le chiavi della casa a nessuno. Ah, ok, ok. Bravo, 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 bravo. Massimo codice o chiave magnetica. Sai, quando sono andato in Thailandia, avevo anch'io quella situazione lì, ma allo stesso tempo avevo la sensazione di essere lì e di poter restare lì in qualsiasi momento. Cioè, il tipo, se mi voleva buttare fuori da casa, doveva letteralmente buttarmi fuori da casa, anche se era con la chiave calzonica. Cioè, bastava non chiudere la porta, capito? Cioè, se volevo fare del male, lo potevo fare del male. Sì, 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 sì. Anche dal punto di vista di cambiare la sedatura. Sì, sì, sì. Hai ragione. C'è la madre della mia ragazza che ha avuto anche lei compra e vende case quasi giornalmente a sto punto. Cioè, ogni anno se ne spunta con una casa nuova. E l'anno scorso lei ha avuto un problema del genere. Non ha smart lock, cose vale, si affida lei a una agenzia immobiliare. E c'era sto tipo arabo che era entrato in casa e non voleva uscirne. È andata per le lunghissime perché lei non aveva cioè, lei vive a Londra. Lei vive a Londra, però la casa l'aveva acquistata in Spagna. Quindi non è che tipo era dietro l'angolo che poteva fare qualcosa. E ci ha dormito così tanto che a un certo punto non aveva il diritto, il potere per buttarli fuori. Ed è stata una situazione orribile per lei. Alla fine ha trovato un accordo in cui e non gli pagavano l'affitto a un certo punto. che visto che non aveva il potere per buttarli fuori, facevano di tutto, facevano il cazzo che gli pare, capito? E poi, eh sì, no, appunto era in Spagna sta roba, è successo. E alla fine hanno trovato un accordo in cui i tizi sono andati via, però lei non poteva esporre denuncia, non poteva richiedere all'abbonamento, era soltanto per buttarli via e avere la casa finalmente libera per essere di nuovo messa in commercio, diciamo. Bastardi, bastardi. Quella era l'unica opzione valida a quel punto per noi, per lei. Situazione orribile. Qualcuno da pagare per buttare fuori la gente, lo trovi. L'aveva fatto, l'aveva trovato qualcuno, ma anche lì mi sa che gli hanno rubato dei soldi alla povera ragazza, alla povera madre della mia ragazza. Perché sono andati lì e non sono riusciti a buttarli fuori per questioni legali e minchiate varie. Cioè, assurdo, assurdo. E infatti ora siamo con la situazione che ogni casa va fatta almeno con la sicura elettronica via remoto, camere a tinghi. Io l'ho detto perché aveva fatto 50 e 50 lei. Aveva fatto 50 per iniziare i lavori e 50 appena finivano i lavori. Ho anche della telecamera, sì, 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 è importante. Anche se loro si possono lamentare. Ah, e by the way, alla fine della storia la casa era distrutta. Sti arabi avevano distrutto tutto. È assurdo. E infatti ha dovuto spendere altri soldi per portarla di nuovo a uno stato decente. Perché sennò non la poteva nuovamente affittare. Avevano distrutto i letti, avevano distrutto la cucina, avevano fatto buchi nei muri per sgamare l'elettricità al vicino. Cioè, cose assurde avevano fatto questi. L'agenzia ha fatto entrare le persone così a casa, esatto. Esatto. Agenzia di merda. Io avevo fatto caso all'agenzia. Il pensiero c'era. Il pensiero c'era, è assurdo. È assurdo, sì. Se danno la casa a persone che non possono pagare anche loro, non possono guadagnarci. Sì, sì, sì. Infatti a un certo punto ci hanno proprio... sono lavate le mani. Hanno capito la perdita e hanno fatto... Guarda, non possiamo farci niente, sbrigatela tu. Quasi.
Non si dedica all'abbattimento di questa torre, può anche non tippare. Visto che ancora manca un po' di tempo, mi chiedo se faccia tempo ad attendere il cooldown della ulti per entrare da Fog of War direttamente sulla fronte dell'avversaria. Sarebbe un bel movimento. Perde un pochino di tempo, però un po' l'intera formazione di BDS, ecco, stanno cercando di guadagnare un minimo di visione difensiva. Arriva al pelo sulla wave Sion in top, cerca su quella in bot, Rumble si dovrà muovere col TP se vorrà muoversi. Sion è già nel quadrante, però Bucada deve scegliersi con molta cautela le proprie battaglie. Sono praticamente 4 alleati ancora. Beh, oddio, la Rakan lo contiamo pure. Sono 3 alleati che ancora aspettano di scalare, aspettano veramente il proprio momento di power spike.
Comunque no, con gli affitti brevi gli stratti non siamo essendo, non funziona come un affitto a una famiglia che non può pagare l'affitto. Non ti so dire, non ho molta esperienza al riguardo.
Nuke si fa il suo primo giro in respawn timer e ironicamente era uno dei pochi champion ad avere già uno spike interessante sulla torcia. Dovrà aspettare però a giocare col suo nuovo giocattolo. Pausa. Anche noi dovremmo aspettare. Stavamo schivandone le pause, effettivamente mancavano da un po'.
No, no problem, no problem. Mm. Actually, Ivo, mi sa che mi prendo una pausa. C'ho lo stomaco che brontola da luna. Ho saltato pranzo oggi. Mi sa che lo recupero ora. Grazie per la chit chat. It's been fun, it's been fun. Ci vediamo alla prossima volta. Ciao bello, ciao ciao.